Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me once again for Get Your Money Right with Yvonne. I'm Yvonne. How's it going? And if you were looking for the spot to talk about saving money for retirement, you are indeed in the correct place. So, we're going to start these the way we always do with me asking you, how are you doing? How are you faring? How is it going? Every time I do these of late, it seems like I'm talking about challenging times, and they just seem to become more challenging. So I just want to ask you, I want you to stop and think. How are you doing and how's it going? And just know that there is a safe place to discuss those things. Because I've always been one, I reach out and I talk to people about things, and I tend to bring up uncomfortable subjects just to kind of get it out there. Because a lot of times folks don't want to talk about troubles, and I get it. You don't want to sit and wallow in it. But here's the thing, if you know that there are people who are thinking, I don't want to say necessarily thinking like you, but having the same challenges as you, it just helps to know you're not alone. I set this whole podcast up to kind of talk about things I wasn't seeing, and I just wanted to share with others. That was my whole thought process behind this. And so, if this is anything or this group is anything you want to connect with, we would love to have you. But don't worry about it now. We'll talk about that later. Just, enjoy this episode, see what you think, and we'll just kind of go from there, okay? So, how's it going with me? No complaints. The same sorts of struggles that we all are having, right? Between the cost of groceries, gas, medicine, anything else, your bills, everything seems to be going up. And, my coffee, it was so funny because I will get a big 3 pound bag from, I go to either Costco or Sam's, one of those that you have to have a membership for, but for me, it is worth it. I remember starting to buy this particular brand of coffee 5 years ago. And I know that when I started buying it, it was $8.99. It has steadily gone up over the past 5 years to now that same 3 pound bag of coffee is $16.98. And I'm like, what? My income certainly isn't doubling, nothing near that. So it's just so challenging to try to keep up. And, the cost of gas, seems like every time I drive by the gas stations, it's gone up. About every single day goes up a little bit more. Now it's $1 a gallon more than it was a month ago before the start of the war with Iran. So it's like, oh, great. And no, not great. I don't mean it like that. Just, oh, it's hard to watch. Let's just put it that way. And medicine, I went to my doctor's not too long ago for my annual physical. And he's looking at my chart, and I have an EpiPen, epinephrine, that's used if you have an allergic reaction, which I have some severe allergies. So I have that. So he got that for me, and I went to the pharmacy to fill it. And my insurance covered all of it. I was kind of looking at what the cash price would be, and I was like, what? This EpiPen, this life-saving drug for those of us who might need it, the cash price for it was $499. How do people who don't have insurance deal with that? Well, we all know either they don't get the life-saving drugs they need, or they go broke trying to get it. And it hurts my heart when I see things like that, because I'm feeling for those who are struggling, as we all are to some extent, right? But it I don't even know what to tell you. It just hurt me to know that so many people out there are struggling. And speaking of struggling, I'm watching some of the Senate candidates, for the U.S. Senate, and some of their talking points when it comes to the cost of things. And I know one candidate said something along the lines of, stop complaining about the cost of gas, stop complaining about the cost of groceries, just go to Starbucks less. And I'm like, lady, do you live in the real world? Apparently not, because that's not what's happening. Normal people are just getting buried by the cost of things. And when I saw that, don't stop going to Starbucks. Okay, I've gone to Starbucks twice in the last 18 months, and it's usually meeting a friend. It was a centrally located spot, so we'd go there and have, coffee's good, sure, kind of high. That's why I buy my own and why I make it at home. So by telling us to stop going to Starbucks, you're not dealing with the challenges of normal people. And do you even belong in the Senate? if that's what you have to say to potential constituents. I just, all I could do is shrug, because it's like, what are you talking about? So how do we take care of ourselves? I know that I've told you before how I go through my list. I'm gonna stop myself right here, because the list that I'm speaking of, because if you're new, maybe you don't know what I'm talking about. So, and you can do this any way that works for you. I know that there's all sorts of apps. My way is to pull out a blank sheet of paper, okay? What I do is that top line, how much am I bringing in a month? And, before we continue, how much am I bringing in a month already includes the 401k contributions that I'm already making. So if you haven't already done that for yourself, please make sure to set up some way to put money on a consistent basis into your retirement account. I know that we are just trying to get through each and every day, just trying to survive. But to thrive, we also need to take care of our future. And you don't want to hit 60, 65, 70 without any way to support yourself at all. Because remember, Social Security was never meant to be our primary source of income. It was meant to help, yes, but it can't possibly cover all of your expenses. And if you don't know how much you might receive in Social Security per month, do some searching. I believe it's ssa.gov, and start asking some questions so that you know beforehand what you are up against. Because right now, retirees get on average $2,000 a month for Social Security. And let me ask you, how would $2,000 do for you right now? If you were retired and that's all the money that you had coming in every month, how does that look for you? I mean, does it cover it? For some of you, it might cover everything, but I'm guessing it's only half of what most of you need per month. Stop and think about that, because you don't want to be in your older years not having paid attention to those things and not being prepared for them, right? So that's what this is all about. I wish that, 40 years ago would have been nice to have had conversations like this with somebody who could talk to me in a language I understood. Because there's a lot of money managers out there, but the vast majority of them that I've come into contact with, and I'm not saying everybody, but those are the ones I have come into contact with, they already make a lot of money, and they counsel people who have a decent amount of money. One of those money managers, I remember she was talking to somebody who said that they had a $2 million balance in preparation for retirement. And this money manager's comment was, well, $2 million is chump change. Okay, well, I must be a chump, because $2 million would mean everything to me in my retirement years. That would just be phenomenal. She said, you really need 5 million. I'm like, okay, you're not talking to normal people. You are talking to high income earners, and maybe they can do it, but the rest of us can't. But we still deserve a dignified retirement. So then how do we do that? How do we manage that? So once you've talked to your employer about putting money away for retirement, then the net you have left is what's on that top line. Okay, that's the very first thing. This is the start, what you have to work with. Then that next line, pay yourself first. Don't forget that, because you are as important, if not more important, than your bills. So make sure you're putting money away for cash, for savings, for emergency, for whatever. I put money away at one of the accounts because I put money away for tax, for savings, and the other thing is for my insurance. So I have that money set aside so that when the insurance bill comes up, I can just pay it right off. And the other thing that I tend to put money away for, well, we talked about taxes. I've already done that. But, things pop up. And the other thing for me is the tabs on my newer, it's a 2021 car, newer car. There, I had, until I bought this car, which wasn't brand new, it was a couple 3 years old when we got it. But the tabs for that car, when I got that first bill for $500, I'm like, oh, good thing I'm saving for it, because I don't know that I would have been able to come up with it. But that's what I mean by pay yourself first. You take care of you, your needs, your obligations. Then after that is money for your bills. And then what does that tally? You're going to have to do that on a regular basis. You can't just do one and done and think, oh, I've done that, don't need to do it again. No, keep at that, because I've noticed every few months I have to adjust it. And what I noticed is that I had a $26 shortfall. Well, I was able to figure out exactly what my paycheck is going to be. And so I've been able to cover it, just barely, but cover it so that I don't have a shortfall. Everything is being taken care of, and I'm grateful for that. And this is just going to have to take care of yourselves, because nobody else is going to do it for us, right? So figure out what your needs are. You write that down so that you have a running tally of what you have, what you owe, and just stay on top of it. And if you have to make some adjustments and don't know how to do it, well, then reach out to this community, because, I'm guessing one of us has struggled with whatever you may be struggling with. So, just reach out. That's what we mean. This is a safe space, and maybe we can help. So just do that. And I have to laugh, because I told you in one of these shows about Hoover Stew. So that was President Herbert Hoover, spit it out, who presided over the Great Depression. And so you had all these poor people, all these people out of work who were struggling, who couldn't make a meal for themselves. And so they would just work with the community. Here's the little bit I have. Here's a little bit somebody else has. And it was all put into a pot and cooked into this stew. So I'm going to be making my version of the Hoover Stew. Bought a chicken not too long ago from Sam. So I got one of those chickens from Sam's or Costco. And so I cut some of it up to put into a gumbo that just didn't have enough protein in it for me. So I did that. And then I cut some more of it off to make 2 cups for a chicken pot pie that I'll be making. And then the last one, this Hoover Stew. So I'm going to boil off the rest of that chicken, put in a bunch of different things, and serve it up. And here you go, making use of all that we have. So just throwing that out there. You can Google it yourself, Hoover Stew. See what you can do with the things that you have in your cupboard right now. Okay. So with that, I'm going to get ready to wind up. Now, I got this from a Chinese food restaurant that I was at not too long ago. And it states, don't let procrastination hinder your progress. So just with that in mind, please take care of yourselves. So I talked at the very beginning. If you'd like to become a member of this community, you see where it says subscribe. Just follow that prompt. This is completely free. Again, I do it because I couldn't find anybody who spoke my language. Just basic. We're just basic earners. And so with that, I just kind of wanted to talk like that, just like normal people. So that's what this is about. Join us. When I produce these, it'll come straight to your email. So you can watch it, you can share it, you can save it. Whatever works for you, just go ahead and do that. We would just love to have you be a part of this community. Okay? So with that, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me. This is now our 66th episode, and I've been doing these for a year. Man, where'd the time go? So with that, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and until next time, okay? Bye.